Daf Yomi Tractate Avodah Zarah, page 31. Top of the page with the word Stam Yenam. Asur Behana Vitame Tumas Mashkin Yeravis Hamav Gidyeno Ezel Goy Asur Shtia Mutawano. It is prohibited to derive benefit from nondescript wine of a Gentile, and the wine imparts the ritual impurity of liquids when it has the volume of 1/4 of a log. With regard to the wine of one who deposits his wine with a Gentile, one is prohibited from drinking it, but one is permitted to derive benefit from it. I'm just reading it. I'm not putting my own opinions into it. I'm just reading the text. So just let that be known, please. Thank you. Be'atnan amafkid pe'roisav itzel goy. הרי הן כבירסו של גוי, שביעס למעשה כגוי שיחד, לא קרן זלוויס. The Gemara raises a difficulty, but didn't we learn in the Mishnah in Bechorot 11b, with regard to one who deposits his produce with a Gentile, it has the status of produce of a Gentile with regard to the halachot of the sabbatical year. With regard to time, as the Gentile might have exchanged the Jew's produce with untithed produce, or produce of the sabbatical year. According to this logic, wine deposited with the Gentile should be entirely prohibited due to the concern that the Gentile exchanged it with his own. The Gemara answers, it is permitted for one to derive benefit from the wine in a case where the Gentile designated a corner for the Jew's wine, meaning if the wine was locked away in a specific place to which only a Jew has access. Ihachi b'shtia nami ishtere dehar b'yochanan ikla lefarud amar klum yesh mishnat bar kapara tanale Rabbi Tanchum demin perod amav kedyeno etzel goy b'utar b'shtia. The Gemara questions this: if that is so, drinking from the wine should also be permitted, as Yehoshua once happened to come to Parod, where the deceased Tana Bar Kapara lived. When he arrived, he said, "Is there any Mishnah of Bar Kapara here?" In response, Tanchum of Parod taught him the following Braita, citing Bar Kapara, with regard to one who deposits his wine with a Gentile, drinking from the wine is permitted. Kariale makom shiboraes sham yu. Sham yu. Salkadaydach el sham yu perodav. Upon hearing this, Yehoshua read the following verse about him: "Where the tree falls, there it shall be." It's in Ecclesiastes 11:3. Does it enter your mind that this means that the tree itself will be there? It is obvious that a fallen tree lands where it falls. Rather, the verse is saying that there is fruits shall be. The verse is a metaphor for a sage, and its fruits represent his disciples. And Rabbi Yochanan was intimating that although Bar Kapara may have died, Rabbi Tanchum, his disciple, perpetuates his wisdom. Amar b'zeira lokashia, ha Rabbi Eliezer, ha Rabbanan. In any event, it is apparent from the Braita quoted by Rabbi Tanchum that there is a case in which it is permitted to drink wine deposited with a Gentile. This contradicts the statement of Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera. Rabbi Zarah said that it is not difficult. This Braita, which permits drinking wine deposited with a Gentile, is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, whereas that statement of Rabbi Yehuda ben Betera is in accordance with the opinion of the rabbis. Titania, echad alokeach v'echad sofer, ba'is b'chatzeichoi, shel goy, u'miluhu yain, mafteach o chotam b'yad Yisrael. Rabbi Eliezer matir v'chachamim oisrin. Rabbi Zarah elaborates, as it is taught in the Braita, with regard to both one who purchases or one who rents a house located in a Gentile's courtyard, and they fill the house with containers of wine, and the key to the house, or a seal, is in the possession of a Jew, so that the Gentile cannot access the wine, in which case it is even more secure than when a corner is designated for the Jew's wine. Rabbi Eliezer permits the wine, and the rabbis prohibit it. Amar Rabbi Yechia Bareid Rabbi Yechia, Amar Rabbi Yechia Bareid Rabbi Yechia Bar Nachmani. Amar Rabbi Chizda Bar Rav, Amar La, Amar Rabbi Chizda, Amar Zeiri, Amar La, Amar Rabbi Chizda, Amar Li Abba Bar Chama, Hachi Amar Zeiri, Halacha Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Chia, son of Rabbi Chia Bar Nachmani, says that Rabbi Chizda says, that Rav says, and some say that Rabbi Chizda says, that Zeiri says, and some say that Rabbi Chizda says. So Rabbi Chizda is in all these ones. So definitely Rabbi Chizda has something to do with it. Rabbi Abba Bar Chama said to me that this is what Zeiri said. The halacha is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. Okay. Amar Rabbi Eliezer, Amar Rabbi Elazar, Hakol mishtamer b'chotam echad, chutz min ha'an she'en mishtamer b'chotam echad. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, afilu yayin mishtamer b'chotam echad, Rabbi Ligi hak Rabbi Eliezer hak Rabbanan. Rabbi Elazar says all substances are sufficiently secured by one seal except wine, which is not sufficiently secured by one seal. And Rabbi Yochanan says even wine is secured by one seal. And they do not disagree in their reasoning. Rather, this opinion of Rabbi Yochanan is in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. And that opinion of Rabbi Elazar is in accordance with the opinion of the rabbis. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, afilu yayin mishtamer b'choisem b'toy choisem v'tavayu k'Rabbanan mar savar kipligi Rabbanan aleh de Rabbi Eliezer b'chotam echad al b'chotam b'toch chotam sharu u'mar savar afilu chotam b'toch chotam asri. There are those who say that Rabbi Elazar says all substances are secured by a seal within a seal, meaning two seals except wine, which is not secured by a seal within a seal. And Rabbi Yochanan says even wine is secured by a seal within a seal. And both hold in accordance with the opinion of the rabbis. One sage, Rabbi Yochanan, holds that when the rabbis disagree with Rabbi Eliezer, it is with regard to one seal. But in the case of a seal within a seal, they concede that there is no concern that the Gentile might have opened it, and therefore they permit the wine. And one sage, Rabbi Elazar, holds that they prohibited even wine that was secured by a seal within a seal. Hechidami chos mutachos u'marava agana defuma lechabita sharika v'chatima have chotam b'tor chotam v'i la dikula mehedak have choisem dechoisem v'lo mehadek v'lo have chotam b'tor chotam nod b'diskaya chatimat piv l'mate have chotam b'tor chotam piv l'mala lo have chotam b'tor chotam v'chi kaif pume legev l'tzayt v'chatim. The Gemara asks, what is a seal within a seal like? Rava says a basin placed over the mouth of a barrel that is smeared with clay and stamped with a seal is considered a seal within a seal. And if not, it is not considered a seal within a seal. If a basket is placed over a barrel and is fastened to it, this is a seal within a seal. If it is not fastened to the barrel, it is not a seal within a seal. With regard to a wineskin that is placed in a sack, if the wineskin's stopper is facing downward, this is a seal within a seal. If its stopper is facing upward, this is not a seal within a seal. and if he bends the wineskin's bottleneck inward and ties the sack and seals it, this is also considered a seal within a seal. Tanu Rabbanan, Pirashonam Yain Shel Ein Kushi, Asur Mipnei Birat Srika, Vishel Brakata, Asur Mipnei Kafar Parshai, Vishel Zag Dor, Asur Mipnei Kafar Shalim. Chazru Lomar, Chaviot Pituchot, Asurot, Stumot Meturot. The sages taught, at first, the sages would say that wine from the Samaritan city of Ein Kushi is prohibited due to the concern that it might have come into contact with the idolatrous inhabitants of Birat Srika. And similarly, the wine of Barakata is prohibited due to the idolatrous inhabitants of the village of Parshai. And the wine of Zagdor is prohibited due to the village of Shalim. Subsequently, they retracted and began saying, open barrels are prohibited, but sealed barrels are permitted. Mikara mai savur, Yusuf mai savur, Mikara savur ein kuti makbiro, magagoi, lo ishna b'tucho, v'lo ishna astumot. V'sof savur ki lo kapid ap'tuchot, astumot makpid kapid. The Gemara asks, what did they reason initially, and what did they reason ultimately? The Gemara answers, initially they reasoned a Samaritan is not particular about the touch of an idolatrous Gentile, and there is no difference in this regard between open barrels and sealed barrels. And ultimately they reasoned, when Samaritans are not particular about a Gentile's touch, this is only with regard to open barrels, but with regard to sealed barrels they are particular. Since Samaritans ensure that Gentiles do not handle sealed barrels of wine, the wine is permitted. The Gemara asks, but are sealed barrels permitted? The Gemara says, I'll raise a contradiction. And now we turn to Lamed Aleph Amud Bet 31b. Top of 31b, with the words Hasholeach Chavit Shel Yain. Hasholeach Chavit Shel Yain B'yad Kuti B'shel Tzir Shel Murayos B'yad Goi Imakir Chomasos Tamom Mutar. From the following Braita will raise a contradiction. With regard to one who sends a barrel of wine in the hands of a Samaritan, or a barrel of fish, brine, or a barrel of fish stew in the hands of a Gentile, if he recognizes his seal and his manner of closing the barrel, it is permitted. If he does not recognize him, it is prohibited. Apparently, a sealed barrel is permitted only when it is recognizable. Amar b'zeiro lekasha. Kan be'ir, kan b'derech. Zarah said that this is not difficult. Here, the first Braita is referring to barrels located in a city. There, the second Braita is referring to barrels that the Samaritan carries on the road. Sealed barrels are permitted in a city because the Samaritan is careful to ensure that Gentiles do not touch them in front of anyone, so that he does not forfeit the business of Jews. While traveling, he is not concerned, as he assumes that no one will discover that the Gentile came into contact with the wine. Maskif la Rav Yirmiyah mi dehanachdir lo b'derechatu ela amar Rav Yirmiyah behagitot shaninu kevan dechol yama afchi mirtas amar hashta yichazuli mafsiduli. Rabbi Yirmiyah objects to this. Didn't these barrels located in the city come by the road as well? Rather, Rabbi Yirmiyah says, we learned the Braita that permits sealed barrels only in reference to those that are located between the wine presses. Since everyone is found there, the Samaritan is apprehensive, as he says to himself, now, if someone sees me allowing a Gentile to handle the wine, they will cause me to lose my profit, as Jews will not purchase it. Itmar. It was stated, or we learned, Vipnei ma'asru sheichar shel goyim, Rabbi Chama amar Yitzchak mishum chatanut, Rabbi Nachman amar mishum giloi. It was stated for what reason did the sages prohibit the beer of Gentiles. Rabbi Chama says, this obviously doesn't apply today because people drink beer made by Gentiles all the time. Rabbi Bar Chama says that Rabbi Yitzchak says it is due to the concern that Jews will befriend Gentiles while drinking with them, which might lead to marriage with Gentiles. Rav Nachman said it was due to concern of exposure. Agilui demai, ili megilui dinazisa, ananami magalinan, de ela de chavita, anan nami magalinan, lo tzricha beatra dematzilabaya. The Gemara asks, with regard to what form of exposure is there concern? If we say that the concern is with regard to exposure of the vat, we too expose the vat, and there is no reason to prohibit Gentiles beer more than that of Jews. If you say rather the concern is for the exposure of the barrel, we also expose the barrels. The Gemara answers no. It is necessary to prohibit the beer in a place where the water used to brew is allowed to settle. Ela miata yashen tishtri, Rabbi yashen mutar, im manichol yashen echmitz mutar. Ve'en manicho leachmitz gezerah yashan atu chadash. The Gemara asks, if that is so, aged beer should be permitted. As Rabbi Yehuda Nasi says, the substance that might contain exposed water but has aged is permitted, since the poison does not allow it to age, as it goes bad before it grows old. Similarly, if it is soured, it is permitted, because the poison impairs the taste, but does not allow it to sour. Why then is all beer prohibited? The Gemara answers, the sages issued a rabbinic decree with regard to aged beer due to the concern with regard to new beer. Rav Papa mabigin le'avava, in brackets says abava dechanuta vishati. Rabbi Achai maitu lebeite yishate v'tarvaya mishum chatanut Rav Achai avid harchaka yitirta. The Gemara cites the opinions of the various sages with regard to beer. Papa had them bring out the beer belonging to Gentiles from the store to the entrance of the store, and he would drink it outside the store. Rav Achai had them bring the beer to his house, and he would drink it there. And both of them drank the beer away from the presence of the Gentiles due to concern about marriage with Gentiles. The Gemara notes that Rav Achai established an extreme preventive measure for himself beyond what is required by halacha. Rav Shmuel bar Bisna ikle lemar gavan. Aitu lechem v'lo eshti. Aitu le'shech v'lo eshti. B'yeshno machamim mishum shimtza. Shichra mishum mai. Mishum shimtza de shimtza. The Gemara relates that Rav Shmuel bar Bisna happened to come to Margwan, and they brought him wine, but he did not drink it. Next, they brought him beer, but he did not drink it. The Gemara asks, granted, he did not drink the wine due to the trace of libations, but due to what reason did he refrain from drinking beer? It was due to concern for the trace of a trace. He did not drink beer due to concern about drinking wine. Amar Rav, Hai Shichra, Di Arama O Shari, Vichia Bri, Lo Nishte Mene Manashach, Ishari Lechul Yama Shari, Yasir Lechul Yama Asir. Rav says, this Aramean beer is permitted, but my son Chia does not drink it from it. The Gemara asks, whichever way you look at the matter of statement is difficult. If the beer is permitted, then it is permitted for everyone. There is no reason for his son to refrain from drinking it. And if it is prohibited for everyone. And why would Rav say it's permitted? Ela Rav Savar Mishum Giluya Yazil Mirora Dichushuta Vikale El Zihare Vidilke Malke Le Tefe Vichia Bri Hoil Ulike Lo Nishtamini. The Gemara explains rather Rav holds that the prohibition is due to exposure, but the bitterness of the hops in the beer goes and impairs the snake's venom. so that it is safe for an average person to drink. But a person of weak constitution is weakened further by the impaired venom, and Rav was saying, in the case of my son Chia, since he is weak, he does not drink from it. Amar Shmuel, Kol HaShratzim Yesh Lahen Eres Shel Nachash Memis Shel Shratzim Eno Memis. Amar Le Shmuel Lechia Barav Bar Arya Ta Ve'emat Lach Milta Malieta Tehavi Amar Ravavuch Hachi Amar Ravuch Hanya Ramai Zukani Tehu Shatu, or in brackets it says Mishum de Shatu Giluya Velo Mitu. In brackets it says Vahai de la Mit Maite Aide de Achlish Katim Rabasim Chabi Ligufayim. Shmuel says all creeping animals possess venom. That of a snake kills, whereas the venom of other creeping animals does not kill. Shmuel said to Chia Barav, son of a lion, come and I will say to you a superior matter that your father, Rav, said. This is what your father said. These Arameans are swollen because they drink exposed liquids. But they do not die from doing so, since they eat repugnant creatures and creeping animals which heat their bodies and thereby render them less susceptible to the venom. Rav Yosef says,